Well, guess what day it is? Today is August 1st, 2023, opening day for Buoy 10. The first of, well, let's see, usually it's about 30 updates. This year might be a little bit different simply because we have some closures. So this year with the regulations, we're going to have closures on the 21st to the 23rd, as well as the 28th and 29th for the Buoy 10 area. And I think on the 28th, 29th, I'm going to boogie on upriver, but we're going to see. I'm going to tell you some stuff here in this update that might keep me here through those closures. So we'll see. So what happened here today? First, I didn't fish. This is probably the first opener in, I don't know, 12, 15 years, something like that I haven't fished. And I had a group that canceled, so I took the day off. Guess what? Still got paid, so I'm okay with it. Gave me another day to get ready. And I'll be honest with you, I am not ready for this year. My business that I have, I'm actually based out in Central Oregon. I have a special use permit to guide out in Central Oregon in Deschutes National Forest. And so I'm fishing all the high mountain lakes up there. And it's been super, super busy, spending a lot of time getting my guides. I got a handful of guides that work for me out there while I'm gone down here, and getting them all set up, getting the customers taken care of. It's been a whirlwind, and I didn't have rods tied up. I have barely any leaders ready. I am not prepared for this year whatsoever. I made it here. I made it, and that's good enough. So it was nice having today to kind of reset and get everything all squared away, take care of a few errands for some friends, and just get settled down here at the beach. So what happened here today on the opener? So this is all, of course, secondhand, not my own information. So it's just stuff that I've found out and been told over the last several hours. First off, the tides that we have right now are not good. They're not ideal for Chinook, which is what we typically find here early in the season. They're really big, outgoes, -2s, and that's gonna really suck a lot of fish back out into the salt. And it's just hard to fish because the water's so fast, the current's so fast. So it was tough in the morning, but it sounds like when the tide flipped around here in the river, it was actually pretty darn good. So that means with a tough tide, there were still quite a few fish caught here on the river on the flood. There are a lot of fish around, and the guys that were out in the ocean whacked them, and there were plenty of Chinook out there too, and they were close. So what that means is that as the tides start to drop, these fish are already staged up, ready to go, and this weekend could be pretty good. Now, what I've seen here so far since yesterday and today, getting all settled in, there's hardly anybody down here right now. Driving over the bridge a few times today, I saw, less than 20 boats most of the time. There could have been a bunch way downriver, but around the bridge was hardly anyone there. And again, that's not surprising. It's early, it's not the best tides. People are starting to choose the days that they want to be down here and skip the days that won't be as productive. But it was productive today. There were plenty of guys in the river that caught fish, getting 5, 10, 15 bites. And that is really good fishing for August 1st. And what's really cool is I heard that there were several coho caught, which in years past, what was it, last year, year before, we didn't see a coho until August 15th, August 20th. So the fact that we're already seeing a couple coho in the river, awesome. Really, really good. Very hopeful that that's going to be positive for us this year. It'd be sure nice to have a bunch of coho mixed in with our Chinook. With that regulation that we have here in the river of not just the closures, but also the hatchery only. Having hatchery only, if we have a bunch of coho around, that will help keep the rods folding over and maybe put a little bit more meat in the box when we call it a day, because we might be sorting through some fish. Now, the reasons why they did that is to try and extend it. If you guys have been down here, or of course paid attention to these updates, we get a lot of closures that happen every single year, and they're trying to avoid that. And so they're doing that by mitigating the number of days that we are down here. They're taking 5 days away, and those 5 days are on some falling tides, like I mentioned earlier, or when the Chinook tend to show up. So they're trying to take us off the water when there should be a pretty decent bite. Can't fault them for that when they're trying to extend it all the way through Labor Day weekend. And the fact that we're going hatchery only, last year we were able to kill wilds for a little bit, and that just put us over the edge way too quick. So they're trying to pull back a little and give us more opportunity, is what we're always told. So we'll see what happens here this year. My plan for tomorrow is, well, it's always leave it up to the customers, but if I had a choice, ocean was really good. That's probably where I go. It's looking pretty nice out there too, the forecast. It's going to be max ebb first thing in the morning. That's not the ideal time to cross the bar, but we'll at least poke our nose out there and take a look. If you are going to start fishing here this week, I'd probably suggest starting later on in the morning, just because that max ebb. I think a couple buddies of mine are starting like 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow and just waiting for it to bottom out and start fishing on the flip. And that's not a bad program. Sleep in a little bit, take your time. Incoming tide usually knocks down that wind in the afternoons too. So it's not too lumpy out there, even though it's afternoon here right now, pretty darn windy, but it's already flipped around, starting to get bumpy out there. What I've also noticed too is that the water temp is up quite a bit. And again, that's partially because of these really big ebbs. We're pulling a lot of river water down, but there's already red tide out here. And the fact that we're getting red tide means that the water's warm, because it's that warm water mixes with ocean water, and then you get the red tide bloom. So already seeing some red tide. I'm not a huge fan of fishing in that. It makes me a little bit uneasy about fishing in that when I move back into the river here, maybe even as early as tomorrow. And I don't know, it's not very fun to fish in. Your water color changes, it gets really dark, oxygen levels are depleted in that water. I tend to just not get bit very well in the red tide, so gonna be jumping around trying to avoid that a little bit this season, it looks like. So my plan for the updates for this year is to try and do some sort of a tech tip each day along with the report. And so I'm going to try and stay on top of that, go through all the gear and equipment. I mean, I tied up some leaders, so at least I'm ready to fish tomorrow. But we'll go through what's working, obviously, but we'll go over how to prepare the fish nip to put inside the spin fish. We'll go through leader lengths, bumper lengths. It's a lot of stuff that we've covered over the last several years. I mean, doing this for pretty much a decade at this point. There's a ton of information out there, but every single year there's something new. Every single year. And so I can't wait to figure out what that's going to be and try and help you guys catch a few more fish too. I'm not ready. I am not ready for this year. I'm not prepared. I got all brand new line on. I put new Maxima Brigade 8 on all my new. I got new reels this year too, so I got new rods, new reels, new line. Got to tie up a bunch of leaders. It's starting over from scratch, but I'll tell you what. Some of the fun of fishing is being able to get to play with your toys. I got a lot of new toys to get to play with this year, so it's gonna be fun. And get to use that Lowrance. I'm sure you guys saw it last year too, that active target where I can actually watch all 6 rods. I'll try and do some more filming of that so you guys can watch it. I was out in the ocean last weekend and it was really fun to play with and get to see the fish come up, react to the gear, and either drop lines, speed the boat up, turn. It all helped, so it was pretty slick. Okay, with that, I gotta get some rods ready because I gotta go to work tomorrow. So I think, I don't know. Yeah, I'm a little frat. I'm already ADD, so not having everything just perfectly in place, already tied up, ready to go, it's a bit overwhelming for me right now. So I got some work to do, and then I'm gonna go get some sushi. So tomorrow I will have this up in a much more timely fashion, hopefully with a nice big box full of fish and a good report for both the river and the ocean. But if I'm in early, I do my video a little bit earlier, expect there to not be much of a report from the river, simply because the river bite's going to be a little bit later in the day. But after what I heard today, should be good. Tides are topped out tomorrow and start dropping the rest of the weekend through the weekend. This weekend could be pretty good into next week. So fingers crossed. It's looking promising already, even on these tough tides. All right, I got to go to work. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Later. Here we go again.